Hey guys, Gannon here, back with another One Piece discussion video. Today I'm going to be doing the first versus battle on my channel, and this is something that was recommended to me by a member of the Discord that I participate in. I'm actually really excited to do this one. At first I just thought it was kind of a good idea, but then when I delved into it, it's pretty crazy how similar these characters are. And of course, if you haven't guessed by the title or the thumbnail of the video, today this versus battle is going to consist of Capone Bege and Crocodile. First off, I'd like to start off by saying that these characters are actually pretty similar. I mean, they're pretty similar in age. They're both crime bosses of their own organization. They're both seemingly master tacticians, many examples of their intelligence and ability to create long and convoluted schemes. With this said, I actually think this one's going to be a way closer battle than I originally anticipated. It's going to make it a lot more interesting. After I did the research and analyzed these characters, I'm thinking that this is going to be extremely close. Alright, so let's start off with Crocodile, one of the most beloved antagonists of the series. Crocodile was originally the antagonist of the Alabasta saga. He was the crime boss leader of the infamous Baroque works, and he was pretty much Luffy's most difficult fight up until that point in the series. Now, like I've already said before, Crocodile, aside from his actual physical abilities, is extremely intelligent. He's a master tactician. He was basically able to get all of Alabasta under his rule just with his planning alone. He managed to keep his identity completely unknown to his whole organization for the most part, and up until he was kicked out, he was an extremely successful member of the Seven Warlords of the Sea. Crocodile is currently 46 years old after the time skip, and compare that to Capone Bege's 42 years old, they're very similar in age. Crocodile's original bounty was 81 million berries, except I wouldn't take this into account, like, hugely, because we all know that bounty kind of just scales as the series progresses. You can compare this to Bege's now 300 million berries, and I assume if we're going to see Crocodile again, which I think is pretty true, after seeing him in the last chapter, chapter 903, I assume I'm going to guess his bounty is going to be around 400 to 600 million, to be honest. Alright, now let's get to Crocodile's abilities. Crocodile's Devil Fruit is the Suna no Mi, aka the Sand Fruit. It is a sand Logia, basically, that allows him to become intangible and turn completely into sand. A lot of people speculate that the Suna no Mi is actually awakened because of all of its extra abilities, including dehydration and the ability to turn, like, organic biological matter back into sand. Crocodile can also use this ability to create blades of sand. He can create sandstorms and quicksand if he's in a desert environment, but I'm pretty sure he can create whirlwinds of sands just regardless, based off of his ability to create sand. Crocodile is kind of a weird character to analyze because to our knowledge he really doesn't have any evidence of any of the types of haki, which kind of makes the argument that his Devil Fruit is awakened kind of a little bit shaky. He lost to Gear 1 Luffy. As soon as Luffy was able to actually touch him, his weakness being anything that's kind of a liquid form that hardens his sand, that's his weakness, of course. As soon as Luffy was able to touch him, he totally lost to Gear 1 Luffy. But then the next time we see him, the Impel Down / Marineford arc, he actually is pretty insane. It seems that he's gotten a huge strength boost. He's also just, like, fearless against some of the strongest characters in the One Piece universe, like Doflamingo and Mihawk, which may just be his own naivety and sense of overconfidence. I don't really understand it. Also, I just really don't take a lot of the things that happen in Marineford to heart. I think that Marineford wasn't a good example of how combat works in One Piece. A lot of the things that occurred there were very vague. I think the demonstrations and illustrations of haki that occurred in that arc are vague and just meant to be introduced, and I don't think we should take Crocodile's feats at Marineford as too much leeway for his character. Alright, now the last couple of things I'd like to mention about Crocodile's character is he has another similarity to Capone Bege. He kind of has the same black slicked hair, and we also need to keep into account that Crocodile also has kind of like a poison hook hand under his regular hook, and we also kind of need to mention the hook itself as an asset. That's kind of his main weapon besides his Sana no Mi. So oftentimes he's going to use his hook hand in hand-to-hand combat as his main weapon. Alright, now let's move on to Capone Bege. Capone Bege is the current user of the Shiro no Mi, or the castle fruit. He originally came from the West Blue, where he kind of built his own crime organization there, overthrew the rest of the mafioso that was located in the West Blue, and then after that he formed his pirate group, the Fire Tank Pirates, and is now one of the stronger supernovas, in my opinion, at a bounty of 300 million berries after the time skip. As I said before, he's a master tactician, as seen by his ability to overthrow basically all the mafioso in the West Blue. And then a prime example of this was the last arc, Tauntland, where he was the one who conjured up the entire plan to assassinate Big Mom. While his scheme didn't go exactly to plan, it was still pretty impressive. The use of those special weapons to penetrate Mom's skin and to break Mother Caramel's picture, everything was pretty elaborate and well thought out. And this doesn't really dumb him down any points, because Crocodile's plan to take over Alabasta and locate one of the ancient weapons didn't really go too well for him either. Alright, now let's move on to the physical abilities of Capone Bege. Bege being a kind of a short, stout, and chubby guy, he's about 5.5 feet. That doesn't really stop him from showing the ability to move pretty quickly. He also seems to be able to use observation hockey, but at this point in time, I'm thinking all supernovas after the time skip probably know how to use either observation, or armament is pretty much a prerequisite for going into the new world, in my opinion, and I think that all the supernovas have it, but for the sake of discussion, we're going to leave out that speculation in this versus battle. Capone's biggest asset pretty much is his devil fruit, the Shiro no Mi, which is the castle fruit. The castle fruit basically enables him to create a castle within his body, and then he's able to disperse things outside of the castle. He's able to put weapons in there. He's able to pretty much control everything inside the castle, as shown when he kidnapped Nami, Sanji, and Chopper. This fruit, more than anything, is kind of used defensively and strategically, and it really fits Capone's personality. More often than not, he just hides his crew inside of his body and allows them to leave through the drawbridge doors inside of his body whenever he sees that it's convenient. It's been shown that when something leaves his spherical aura from inside the castle, then it grows back to normal size, which allows him to store a lot of things in his body. He's also been shown to transform parts of his body into a castle alone. For example, he's able to create kind of hank treads for some reason. I don't really know what that has to do with the castle, but still, it's an ability of his. He's able to use this to get away pretty quickly. The strongest feature shown by Bege, in my opinion, so far is his Big Father form. This is the form that was shown after the Tea Party plan didn't go full circle, and he was forced to get all of his allies into his Big Father mode, which basically means he turns into a giant, awesome-looking castle of himself. Now, this is impressive because the defensive capabilities of the Big Father castle are just insane. It was able to keep out basically the entire Charlotte family, with the only sign of damage really being the fact that Bege was coughing up a little bit of blood, which I think is a reasonable transaction when you're dealing with the entirety of the Charlotte family trying to get inside your body and murder you. One thing we should note about Bege is that he primarily uses actual firearms to carry out his attacks. It's really unusual because firearms haven't really been seen to be effective in the latter of One Piece, and if you actually look at his use of firearms, they don't actually seem to be effective at all. And this kind of does stay consistent with the story. I mean, Bege really doesn't kill anybody of any significance using firearms. He did shoot Pekoms like twice, but I mean, he was chained up, doesn't really count. Everyone on Bege's crew, including Bege himself, kind of uses some form of firearms, or at one point I remember they were using horses and swords, but none of them really seem to have any other extra abilities or hockey to my knowledge. And this also leads me to believe that Bege is very uncomfortable in fighting in a one-on-one scenario. Alright, now that's pretty much it with Bege. Now let's get down to the final conclusion. I was really thinking about this, and I was trying to decide whether I would allow Bege to use his internal crew members as an asset in a one-on-one fight with Crocodile, and I'm thinking as long as they don't leave the body, like if they're manning the cannons, shooting stuff out of them, I thought that would be pretty fair for Bege's character. I don't think it would be appropriate for a versus battle just to let like 20 of his goons jump out and just start going ham on Crocodile. I mean, it probably wouldn't even matter anyways. Crocodile could probably just dehydrate them. I don't think any of his fodder little mafioso members have Haki. I'm not even incorporating the fact that Bege probably has Haki in this battle because it's not been confirmed yet. Crocodile and him are both master tacticians, but I don't think that's essentially going to matter in a 1v1 battle. I really thought initially when I was going to do this versus battle that Crocodile was going to have the upper hand. I mean, Crocodile to a degree can like glide and fly using his sand fruit, which gives him a huge advantage. But then Bege is also probably faster because he could augment his body with the tire tread. Basically, this battle kind of just goes down to whoever lands first strike. I think that if Crocodile can get up close and personal with Bege, and Bege is forced to enter a Big Father mode or some kind of defensive mode, then I'm pretty sure Crocodile takes the cake. But if Bege can in any way use liquid to harden Crocodile's body, I believe that he has the firepower inside his Shiro no Mi to just light him up. Now finally, the conclusion to this versus battle is that I honestly think that Crocodile has the upper hand when you think about it. Crocodile's pretty fast, he's way more experienced in 1v1 hand-to-hand combat than Bege, and a lot of you are saying, well, if Big Mom and the whole Charlotte family couldn't get through Bege's defenses, what makes you think Crocodile can? And I'm thinking that if Crocodile actually pushes Bege to that point where he puts him in a Big Father mode, Bege could probably come up with some elaborate scheme to moisten Crocodile and then shoot him up using the immense amount of firepower from his Big Father mode. But I'm thinking that I remember that Crocodile has the ability, alright, to turn inorganic matter back into sand. And I'm thinking, like, why would this exclude the stone created by the Shiro no Mi? In Impel Down, he was able to turn both wood and stone back into sand. So I'm thinking, like, why wouldn't he be able to do this with the Shiro no Mi? I'm thinking that the upper hand that Crocodile provides in this battle is that, one, he can probably just eliminate the stone created by the Shiro no Mi. For the most part, the weapons that Bege utilizes, you know, guns, firearms, are not going to be useful on Crocodile whatsoever if he's not in a state where he can't be hit. Bege is going to have to find a way to get Crocodile wet, essentially. And I also just believe that with his hook hand, the ability to kind of fly and glide, that he's just got a way bigger advantage in a 1v1 battle. And for those reasons, I'm going to have to hand it to Croco Boy today. Anyways, guys, I really hope you enjoyed my first versus battle. I know this one's going to be a little shaky. I'm kind of new at this, so hopefully we'll get better with time. But anyways, if you enjoyed, please slap a like on the video. I love comments, so the more comments, the better. I love constructive criticism. Anything is welcome. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.